I know I'm late. Oh man, I had to pick up Hector's sister from preschool and it was just, a whole ordeal when you gotta go through the parent pickup line. Oh gosh. But I'm here to talk about Hector, so ready to go.
I'm glad. Let's introduce everyone to start with. I'm the special ed teacher, Ms. Smith.
Hi, Smith.
I'm the LA representative to just make sure that Hector is just getting all the services that he needs. And I'm Miss Baxter.
I'm Ms. Nelson. I am Hector's classroom teacher.
Hi, Miss Nelson. How are you doing today?
Good.
Oh, yes, I'm Hector's mom, and it's so lovely to meet you guys, and I'm excited to, talk about Hector and his progress.
Yeah, we're really excited to be able to help Hector do his very best in school, is really why we're here. We want him to achieve his very best. So we've already done some testing, as I'm sure you know, because you had to sign a sheet to allow us to do that, to kind of see where Hector is. Really just here, to help make sure that Hector does his very best in school. And he's been found eligible under OHI, but if you see that anywhere, it really just means that's where ADHD falls under. Right?
And I'm currently working with his doctor, and we're trying to get him under the right medication so that he, it'll help him in the classroom setting.
That should help a lot too, because being able to focus really tends to help in everything.
And as you keep meeting with the doctor, just make sure that you keep Ms. Nelson and Ms. Smith well informed, and me about any updates to the medication, so that we're well aware what we should be expecting in terms of behavior or just attention span during her class, as well as just whatever else comes up throughout the day.
And some of those as well, if they have to be given during school hours. We work closely with the nurse to make sure that these things are given at the correct time, and Ms. Nelson will send them at the correct time for that kind of thing to happen. So don't worry if your doctor says that something has to be given during the hours of school.
Right.
So just because you can't be there, we're going to make sure that we help him as well. Phenomenal. He's great in math.
And hopefully some behavior stuff too.
Yes.
I see you guys may have talked about that.
He's got a few behavior issues, but reading is definitely where the issues lie between comprehension and struggling to stay on task and actually read a book or read a passage is definitely where he's struggling.
So how is he doing in the area of reading?
Well, here's his most recent report card, and then this is also his report card from the last year. So you can see he definitely, you know this, he didn't do so great in third grade reading, and it definitely has continued on in fourth grade. So we've seen.
Oh, look how well he's doing in math.
Yes, he's doing great in math. Okay, Hector is phenomenal at math, and all of the students love to go to him and ask for help or ask for other strategies they can use to solve some of the math problems, and they really like to test him as well to say, hey, can you solve this problem for us? It's fantastic. The kids love working with him in math.
From me, I'm very good at math.
Yes, that's fantastic. So, but reading is definitely what we're here to talk about today. He has trouble staying on task when he's reading a passage. Comprehension is also a struggle. If we can get him to sit down and read, he's a blank stare. There's not much. He doesn't retain much.
And all of that's been backed up by some of the assessments we gave him. We gave him one to test his achievement, which is really just saying, what has he learned in school?
Okay.
And he was phenomenal in math, as you know, but he struggled a little bit in some of the reading areas, and specifically reading comprehension. His IQ is much higher than what he is getting reading right now for his scores. And so really what we're here for is to provide that support for him to allow him to reach his full potential, because we know he has the ability to be a great reader, and we just really want to make sure he gets there while we're here.
Right. Yeah, at home, I mean, the only thing I really see at home with the whole reading struggle is, it's hard for him to, just sit down and just start, take down, but that's, he's a boy. And I figure, that's normal, that's typical. So is it just that when he reads, it's not well, or is it that you can't get him to read because he can't focus long enough?
Well, we've given him, we've done like a checklist, and a couple of us have, 3 or 4 of us have given him a checklist for hyperactivity and attention issues. And so we see that really affecting him during a lot of the school day as well. So he's really good at math, and a lot of his interests, you know, like basketball and soccer, are really tied into math, and he loves working with like the statistics of that, and some of that is just, it amazes the human being. But his attention and hyperactivity can kind of get in the way in reading. It tends to show up a lot in reading. So it might be kind of a twofold issue, but it also might just be his attention. So that's why we're really here to help and see what works. And if things don't work, we're going to readdress it and go forward, because we're all really just meeting here to find what's best for Hector.
Okay. Makes sense.
How does his attention affect things in the classroom, Ms. Nelson?
His attention issues definitely arise more during English and language arts. I think there's a little bit of, he knows he struggles with it and he's aware of the situation, because he is becoming very more aware of what his surrounding situation is. So he kind of like puts it off and decides that now it's time to act out versus math, where he understands it, and even more of the science as well. And he's definitely good at science because he likes the mathematics behind science. And he also likes to get dirty and play with our classroom. Hence all of the bugs we have.
That in reading, you know, a lot of times you have to sit down and like take a passage and like look for what you need. Whereas in math, you can get the problems done like that.
Right.
And so I think some of it just maybe because reading and what they're having you do in reading as he goes into higher grades really requires you to sit down and focus a lot more. Whereas with math, he's able to, I know Ms. Nelson talked to me about, you know, he's able to get up a little and then come back down, but he always finishes his work in math. But a lot of times in reading, because you have to sit down and do it all in like one big time span, he tends to get up a lot more, like Ms. Nelson was talking about. And so we really want to see that hopefully between what we're going to do at school and what you're working on with your doctor with his medications, hopefully we'll find a really good balance to where he can just succeed.
I'm just a little bit worried because he's getting to that age where he's starting to realize that he's not strong in reading. And you know, when kids start to realize they're not good at something, they kind of figure out, oh, well, I just don't want him to give up. I just really want to make sure that in the classroom, he's being supported.
And that's why we're here today, because we want to make sure that he has a strong foundation and he's moving along with his peers, how the best for him, and that he isn't falling behind later on in life, and he isn't having issues.
And one of the things is that he's being served like with his peers. He's not like necessarily being pulled out for long amounts of time. He does need that extra support. He is still being like served in the classroom. So it's not just being like, oh, Hector, you're reading this passage because you're different. His work might just be a little bit different, but it's not being obvious to the rest of the class. And so Ms. Nelson's done a good job of making sure that she doesn't point it out the whole class. It's just strictly between her and Hector.
We have some goals and we try to meet them and try to make sure that Hector meets where he needs to be. Is really what it is. So we have IEP goal in reading, if Ms. Nelson wants to share that.
Yes. We have the goal for the first 9 weeks after we get through this process and we approve everything, that by the end of the next set of 9 weeks, he'll be able to describe in detail a character in a story with little to no prompting. 3 out of the 5 trials. So it will take a little bit of work, but this is something that's completely attainable for Hector. He will be able to figure out after reading a passage what is the character and describe them. So we're going to work on some comprehension strategies and just some focus strategies, a lot of graphic organizers and other things that are going to help him to organize his thoughts and be able to focus and see where the parts of the story fit together to help him pick things out.
And Ms. Nelson and I, we're really working together, and she can come to me for anything she needs, and she's coming to me if she needs a new strategy to work with Hector and just the support, and so we can really figure out what's best for him together. And so that's kind of going to be my role in all of this, because he is going to stay in his classroom. And the only time he'll ever be out of his classroom is we're providing a little extra time for when he's given tests in a different room, so he doesn't have as many distractions. So we can really see what he knows, because we don't want to see what he knows while he's looking and is a little bit distracted. We want to see what he really knows, because as we talked about, he's just not using his potential in some areas, and we really want him to reach that.
I'm just praying that this medicine will fix a lot of our issues. But you know what? It looks like I like this goal.
By the end of the next school year, we will want to make sure that he understands and he can pick out character thoughts and traits and anything that describes two specific characters in a text with little to no prompting, and that he can do it on his own. So we've got 4 dynamics to work on this, but everything's broken down into an obtainable manner that is something that he will definitely be able to accomplish with lots of extra support.
And it's behind, but then this way, we're just really making sure he's caught up, and then we're providing him with that little extra support that'll really help him succeed in the classroom.
And I think once I explain this to him, when he comes, I'm gonna explain to him what's, you know, that, you know, what you guys are gonna be implementing, just so that he's aware.
And I've already introduced myself to
Okay.
him as well in Miss Nelson's class, just said hi, and told him that I'll be helping him a little bit, so yeah.
Okay. Well, I think once I, you know, talk to him and prepare him, then he'll be more, you know, open to the idea of getting this extra support, because he is so smart in math, and he's a very intelligent kid. And so it just really, it makes me sad, because I don't want him to get held back or made fun of, you know, because of this one weakness he has. And it's just not one of his interests, and I think that's why he's unable to focus during it. So I'm just really hoping that once I talk to him, he'll be more open.
And I know you talked about how you're really concerned about Hector's behavior, but we have behavior goals as well in this IEP. Really what Miss Nelson has talked to me about is that her biggest concern is that he's off task, because that's what's affecting him academically the most. That's what's really affecting his work. And so we're going to use just some proven strategies.
We're using proven strategies.
We're using proven strategies and trying to really make Hector more of a self-starter period. Instead of having to be prompted by Ms. Nelson and have her be like, Hector, you need to start, Hector, you need to start. So we're just going to gradually decrease how many times Ms. Nelson has to say that, and gradually
And
increase.
his mother, me.
And gradually
Hopefully
increase
things will transfer to the home.
yeah, the amount of time that he needs to stay on task. But we're going to have him keep himself accountable, and Ms. Nelson's going to keep a record, and we're going to look at it together and really see what can happen, and if there needs to be some kind of reward system in place, like something fun you can do, or something fun and active that he likes to do.
His father would love that.
Yeah, maybe have like a special soccer ball or something that he can play with in the playground, something like that. And one of the really great things is a lot of the support that will be provided for him, and a lot of these areas will be strategies he can use his whole time in school. So it won't just be in Miss Nelson's classroom, but it'll be this year, next year, the year after that. And even as he goes along and he's in middle school and high school, he'll really be able to use a lot of the things we're teaching him to help him with his attention. And we'll make sure we talk, and I'll give you my contact information as well, because I know you're from Miss Nelson's, but that way you're able to contact me as well. And we'll just really let you know everything that's happening.
Right, and I just want you to keep me updated on his behavior, because I mean, I know that this obviously affects it, but at the same time, I think he is able to control himself. And so I just would love if you could email me, just if he had a good day, bad day, that would be great. And so that I can, you know, be able to at home, be able to.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'll definitely keep you in the loop with what happens in the classroom and what we're